So, 10 days into the new 2024 NFL season, what are the expectations that Saints fans have for the New Orleans Saints? I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. It's Friday, March 22nd, afternoon, beautiful day outside. So, this one's going to be kind of quick as I will be on my way to a ball game in a little while. But the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, um, spent a lot of time lurking in Twitter feeds, watching podcasts, YouTube, and Twitter, trying to get I don't know, kind of a pulse of what the fan base is thinking right now. Um, and I described it as a good, bad, or ugly situation. And before I get too far into this, what I mean by that is these are all the passion of Saints fans. It's a very passionate fan base, and you expect that. You really want that because a fan base without passion, it doesn't exist. It's dead, and it's no good for the club itself to have a disinterested fan base. And what's the fun in I mean, this is all as fans our enjoyment, and we invest in our time and our passion in wanting the Saints to do well. So this isn't a situation where I'm taking shots at any particular segment of the fan base. In fact, I encourage the good and the bad and the ugly. I think that's kind of partly what makes all of this fun, especially in the off season when nobody's playing football. But the good side, and I think I kind of fall in this category, which surprises probably a lot of people that know me because I've spent the greater part of the last 2 seasons solidly in the ugly camp. But a little, the good is finally maybe a little optimism, especially speaking, um, like I'm saying, from my experiences, because I really haven't felt much optimism. 2002, 2000, I'm sorry, 2022 and 2023. Um, but turning my passion down a little bit, especially since I started doing these podcasts the day the new league actually opened, and trying to turn the intellect side up a little bit because I find as my passion increases, I think less. So trying to think a little more and being reserved until I get a good idea. And the Saints have not come out and said they're reloading or resetting or whatever they are, or we as fans want to call it. But I think it's fairly obvious for the first time in a long time. The Saints are making football decisions not necessarily based on money, but they're making football decisions with the money in mind, knowing that the track they were on in the freewheeling, free spending contract phases, they could not keep doing forever. And there's a lot of bad contracts sitting on this club as far as money paid for production that you're going to get or likely to get. So I think they're kind of trying to rein that in, but trying to do it in a very calculated method because while they're doing the reset, they don't want to throw a 3-14 level roster together that's going to go out and lose a lot of games because that passion fan base is going to turn, uh, not show up. The dome's going to be a place where visiting teams get to feel like a home game. We saw a little bit of that already at the end of last season. So I I'm on board so far. There's nothing that's put me quite in the bad category where the passion there is um, maybe some downside in the players you're currently trying to bring in on a budget, or the way you have to structure their contracts, which for the most part I think are okay. But there's some quibble on um, the old Chase Young as it ultimately played out, not what was first reported by Adam Schefter. Not even going there because I'm trying not to get too passionate, and I was losing my stuff on the way he kind of reported the whole deal, and compare that to when it was finally corrected by the local beat reporters who really knew what was going on and got the right information out. But I could see their point, um, quite easily. That yeah, that could turn bad. It at its best may not still be good, but kind of the optimism is, well, you got to swing for a home run on this deal without having to spend, in essence, the going rate for edge players right now in the league. Now, the possibility you still, in one way, shape, or form, could overpay. There is a possibility that you've grossly underpaid him, and I'm going to choose to hang out in that theory for as long as I can. Hopefully, something comes along that keeps supporting it, and we really won't know anything till approaching training camp. On the flip side of that, I think the Willie Gay deal runs a lot along the same lines. Not as much risk that may be associated, and maybe not as much potential reward or ceiling on the player. But that's really the two big moves the Saints made. The contracts are not going to hurt us, which compared to the last free agencies, contracts versus production, like I said earlier. Um, but it does get to the what I will call the ugly, and this is purely a reference to the Clint Eastwood movie. Not that I think anyone on that side is ugly. I think they have some valid points, very passionate, and they seem to um, kind of be where I was last year. That some of the spectacular failures in free agency over the years not only bit us in the year it was done, sometimes bit us in the year after. We could all think of a couple instances where bad contract, production combination hung around for 3 or 4 years, and we could probably find some examples on the current roster. I really get what I'm referring to here is the ugly expectations of the fan base. Like I said, 2 years ago, that was me. And I think everything I'm seeing on kind of these three categories I randomly made up, but to illustrate a point, I really think in a weird way is good to kind of get some momentum from the fan base that isn't based on definitely 2023 and 2022 and a little bit of 2021, which is the March April point for the first between the first round of free agency and the actual draft. The Saints organization was selling a dream, a plan, a upcoming season that once we got into watching a significant part of the season, definitely after the first 4 games, you kind of get to that second four or so, third, and then the next four, middle phase of the season. I really feel like a large portion of the fan base felt lied to. This is this is nothing like what we thought we were getting. And the rest of the fan base was I have a couple family members that will openly admit that until the very second that the Saints are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, they're still all in on a Super Bowl run, and for a fan, that is perfectly okay. For an organization, not okay. You have to you have to hope they're self analyzing and not trying to tell us. And this is really what aggravated me a lot last season. Not have Mickey Loomis or Da or any certain players who aren't particularly playing well but are getting a lot of interview time coming out and telling us that we're not understanding what we're actually seeing on the field happening. Or we're not understanding what was going on in the front office. That was actually a brilliant move, but you fans, you just don't quite understand all the nuances and everything. We may not understand everything, but we understand that when it's not working, we understand when it's on its way to not working during the season, and now you're scrambling to try to fix it, try to salvage a division title with one of the worst, one of the easiest records, easiest schedules an NFL team could ever hope to get. So I'm hanging in the good for now. Anything could come along that could move me right past the bad and get me back into where I was the last two seasons. But for the moment, for the first 10 days, long road ahead in 2024 season. But for the first 10 days before one practice is had, one ball is snapped, one pass is thrown, anything. Just the little things that we're seeing right now, the indicators coming out of the organization. And really, it started before when they actively went out and tried to build a staff on the offensive side where the young, innovative mind involved with a system that has shown its work, not only where it originated in San Francisco, but other people could take parts of that system and go to other teams and find success. And then built a staff around them, which is a really good mix of professional coaches, meaning experience at and highly regarded in the NFL, and mixing in some guys who have done both the college experience, the NFL experience, and highly regarded in both. And I think what you get in there is, I saw an interview, and I really wish I could remember who exactly said it so I could give him credit, but talking about the Shanahan system and the Kubiak influence over it, meaning Shanahan Sr. and Kubiak Sr., and then Kyle Shanahan, and then hopefully Clint Kubiak learning this, kind of taking that zone scheme from the 90s, really, but constantly kind of updating it and putting their little flavor on it. And then when a Mike McDaniels or any of those guys leave, they're kind of doing the same thing with their own club. They're taking that base, they're taking the updated version, they're adding their wrinkles to it, and then applying it to the offense that they're going to be working with on the field with their new team. So that really, we're not doing the same old. We're not living on a base offense. It was really successful starting 2016 into more or less 2020. But the NFL has moved on from that. We didn't. We at least making the effort to now. And the players, everything else kind of following from them seems to have a very, for me, emotionally positive vibe to it. For the first time in, like I said, 2, maybe 3 seasons. So I'm not comfortable. I wouldn't place a bet right now on how many games the Saints are going to win this season, but just on an emotional and even intellectual, which is rare that they're both going to kind of meet and come in agreement. Right now, I'm in the good. Really hope I stay in the good. If something happens, it never goes any further than the bad. I'd like to try a whole season emotionally, not as the emotional scarred Saints fan in the ugly category. So that's it for today. Um, Go ahead in the comments, or you can send me a tweet at Tim_BNG and let me know what's your expectations for the 2024 Saints, good, bad, or ugly. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until next time, peace out. Who dat?